Mikko Rantanen, one of the top 10 players in the NHL today, on his way from the Colorado Avalanche to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall are now Carolina Hurricanes.
Now, the funny thing is, I remember reporting on, I think it was a couple weeks ago, that there were discussions that Mikko Rantanen's extension talks with the Avs were not going well.
And what I've been telling people all along is this team is better with Mikko Rantanen.
So, Chief, I have to ask you, how are you feeling? For people that don't know, he is a Colorado Avalanche fan. How are you feeling about the trade?
Fucking stupid.
Not a fan.
Dude, no. Okay. I understand the business aspect of it, that yes, we were probably not going to be able to resign him, but you don't know that.
Right.
You know, and to deal him for Martin Necas and Jack Drury, and then a second round this year and a fourth round next year. Here's my question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does this come with a 55-gallon drum of KY for the fucking we got? I mean, dude, we got bent the fuck over.
So just
holy shit.
So the intro to the video, it shows the trade, but let me kind of just mention it again. So the Colorado Avalanche acquire Martin Necas, Jack Drury, a 2025 second-round pick, a 2026 fourth-round pick from the Carolina Hurricanes for Niels Jorntorp. I'm going to butcher that, but he's not even really a big piece here. For Mikko Rantanen, who's on a 100-point pace. Again, this is a three-team deal. The Carolina Hurricanes were involved in this. They acquire Mikko Rantanen to take on some cap. The Carolina Hurricanes acquire Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall from the Chicago Blackhawks because Rantanen was dealt with the Blackhawks for salary cap reasons, and the Blackhawks got a third-round pick in the upcoming NHL draft.
Yay.
So
for $4 million. $5 million.
So it makes so the Blackhawks, it makes sense. They're getting rid of Taylor Hall. His knees are kind of shot anyways at this point, but he can still be effective. And this is the last year of his deal, so you're only really retaining on that. As for, Mikko Rantanen, let's just talk about the big pieces here. Moving. I was a little bit shocked at this move. Mikko's deal is up. He would most likely be looking to get over 10 plus million per year if we're just being fair. But I think with the salary cap going up, I believe you could have made space for him. And
yes,
it's peculiar in that way. I just don't understand it. But I got to say, hats off to Carolina. I mean, they got Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
And they got Mikko Rantanen. They are serious about being a Stanley Cup contender and trying to win a cup this year. I actually love that move for the Hurricanes organization. And the Avalanche get a guy, Martin Necas, who's having a career year. He's over a point-per-game pace right now. He's been phenomenal for the Canes. And you could probably even argue if he played with Nathan MacKinnon, he most likely keeps up that similar type numbers. And I think he's got a couple more years left on his current
One more.
deal. Oh, he's got one more year. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
One more year on a $6.5 million cap hit. So maybe the Avs feel like they can get similar production at a cheaper price point and will be able to retain him for a little bit cheaper. But I would argue to counter that, if Necas becomes a 100-point scorer, you still probably would have to pay him around 9 to 10 plus million. So
yeah,
I agree with you. I'm not the biggest fan of the move here.
We made this team worse. They made this team worse.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. You book it now, another second round exit, because, granted, Mikko had his strong points and his weak points. Every hockey player does.
Right.
But the dude was a point per game player. He's a sniper from that right side of the fucking cage. You can't replace that.
No.
You just can't. And we don't have anybody in the pipe that's that good that's coming down.
I mean, unless the Avalanche feel like they can retain Necas on his next deal and extend him for under 10 million, and they feel like they'd be saving a little bit of money to maybe add another piece. I just I don't think the return's good enough because I think Necas having a career year, and I think he could be a guy that's a point per game guy at the NHL level. But Rantanen has shown it consistently, and outside of McDavid and Draisaitl, I mean, even with them, you could argue. I think that McKinnon and Rantanen were one of the best tandems, or the pairings in the NHL when it came to offensive weapons up front, and that's kind of a big loss in my opinion. I don't understand.
Oh, it's a huge loss.
Yeah,
the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Now, if you would have said, okay, we're trading him for Patterson and a second round pick, I'd have an easier time swallowing that.
Right.
Would I be happy about it? No. I was actually reading in one of the Avalanche fan pages, some gal actually said this opens up room for them to get JT Miller. And I just put my head in my hands. I was like, oh God, no. I want JT Miller on my team like I'm on another hole in my ass.
And listen, we spoke very bluntly on how we felt about Miller and the Pedersen situation. But let's just say hypothetically, the Avalanche, which I don't know if they do that in the same conference, but they could. If the Avalanche somehow managed to get JT Miller and Necas, does that make them better than with just Rantanen? To be fair, I mean,
maybe.
To be fair, offensively, it would give you a little bit more scoring depth. But this more hinges on the fact that you would have to acquire Miller, and then it's a little bit more digestible. I would actually argue, I hate the trade. I wouldn't have made the trade if I'm an Avalanche GM personally, because I think you should try to retain a guy like Rantanen. But I understand it. Last year was deal. You don't think you're going to be able to make something work. Why didn't they try to acquire a defenseman? That's the one thing to me with the Avalanche, and we've had conversations. I think they just need one guy on the back end. And, I mean, looking at how currently, just look at the back end for the Hurricanes. You got Orlov, you got Slavin, you got Burns, you got Walker, you got Ghost to spare, Chatfield, Stillman. Orlov's making $7.75 million, so... I mean, that's a little bit on the higher end, but these other defensemen, you probably don't move Slavin or Burns, but these other defensemen, I mean, they're quality defenders, and they would kind of fill a need. I mean, the Canes have a very deep D-core, arguably the deepest D-core in the league. They could have sacrificed a D-man to get a phenomenal superstar like Rantanen, and that's the one thing, I'm not working with I'm working off the top of my head. There would have to be some adjustments to the cap, but I think that would have been the far better get than like a Drury and some draft capital. I would have tried to get a defenseman for this current Stanley Cup run because you have the goaltender now. You have the superstar in McKinnon. Necas, I think, could be a very nice piece over there with the Avalanche. Is he the same caliber as Rantanen? I don't believe so, but I still think he's a star.
I'm going to say not fucking close, but that's just me.
I mean, I'm not going to say they're even close. I'm saying, you get you a star level player. He's performing at a star level right now. And if you could get a defenseman, it makes the blow a little less severe, in my opinion. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was looking at one of the posts, and I think we freed up $4.5 to $5 million of cap. And I guess them doing this was them freeing up more cap to be, I think, able to move more things around before the trade deadline. Now, do I think this is a remotely good idea? Fuck no.
Yeah, you currently have $5.65 million in opening cap space.
Yeah. I told my girlfriend this. I was just like, Chris McFarland, tell me you don't give a fuck about winning the cup. I'm telling you, you don't give a fuck about winning the cup.
Right.
Because make this cup run, who knows? You fucking win. Maybe he takes a discount because he knows, hey, I've won 2 cups in 4 years. Would that precipitate you, if you were in his shoes, would you give a hometown discount?
If if I was winning
Two cups in 4 years.
If I was winning cups, yes. I because let's call it what it is. I mean, some players are all about the money. It also depends on the person. Maybe he's just all about the money. I would hope he's not that way. But I would take a few $1 million less and make it up in sponsorships and like, you know, running on commercials in a winning situation over going to, I don't know, just kind of off the top of my head, going to like the Anaheim and making a ridiculous amount per year where you're not competitive right now, even though they have some good prospects. You get what I'm saying. It's just, you don't want to go into a dumpster fire of an organization just for the money. It's, I mean, I think most players would take that deal. It's just, again, I'm a little bit baffled why they didn't address getting another good top 4 defenseman. If they're gonna trade their blue chip guy, that guy that's, you know, arguably a top 5, top 10 player, I just, Necas, you can argue he's under a little bit of like another year of control, but is he the same caliber as Rantanen? No, he's not.
No, I just, dude. I hope they got the 55-gallon drum of KY because the fucking was epic.
I will say this. This deal could age very well in this aspect. Just hear me out. Is if Necas keeps developing, because there's always been this promise with Necas, and he's kind of started fulfilling it this year. If Necas becomes a 80, 90-point guy consistently with the Avalanche, it makes it more digestible for the future. It's just, you're trading a sure thing in Rantanen for potential with Necas. Because we've seen guys have these career years and then just fall off. That is a possibility. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it is a possibility. And the return overall for the Avalanche, speaking just on the Avalanche side of things, it's just not good enough. I mean,
God, it was bad. It's bad. It's like each time I was reading one of these things, dude, it was like watching the Hindenburg on a loop. I was like,
if you got Necas in, like, let's say just Walker, for example, as a defenseman,
I'd take Walker back. Walker was great when we had him. Scott Walker?
It was Sean Walker, I believe. Sean Walker. But like,
was it Sean Walker?
Yeah,
I think we had him 2 years ago.
He played with the Kings, and
we had him for a year.
Yeah, he's a very steady defenseman. Like if you were able to get a top 4 D man, right, from Carolina with Necas, would this deal to you been a bit more fair?
Been a bit more.
Yeah. I
mean, we're still getting
hosed.
A solid roping. Oh yeah, we got hosed, Tommy. We got hosed. With a defenseman, it makes it a little the pill's a little easier to swallow. It still eats rancid donkey dicks. Just because looking at the numbers alone is like, holy schnitzel. Was he on drugs? Do we need to start piss testing the fucking management of the Avs?
I will say this move to me has put Carolina towards the top end of the Eastern Conference.
Oh yeah,
no doubt. Because I mean, looking at the lineup now with Rantanen and Taylor Hall, who it's not MVP Hall anymore. It's a very adequate Hall, but he can give you what you need in the bottom 6. And then you add a guy like Rantanen. I mean,
you as a Boston Bruins fan, that's just like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean,
they were already a pain in the ass to play against.
Yeah.
Now you're adding that.
Have fun.
Ugh.
That's gonna suck.
Oh God,
that's gonna suck for people in the Metro Division playing them. I think that's
Yep.
The Carolinas had a very good year, and they just got even better. And
for everybody else in the Eastern Conference, man, your ankles are prepared to be boarded.
So, let me know. We'll kind of end it here. People down below in the comments section, let us know your thoughts on this trade. Good, bad? You think it's a great trade for the Avalanche? Great trade for the Carolina Hurricanes? Bad.
It was a great trade for the Hurricanes.
You know Chief's opinion. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section.
one last thing I just want to add real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, did you hear Bettman's saying he's going to retire here in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean,
what's Vegas going to do without their daddy?
I mean, I think it's time. I think it's time for a change.
It is.
It's time for a change. I think we need somebody a little bit more up with the times. But you know, sometimes I mean, as old saying goes, the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that you get somebody competent in there. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section.
Not so willing to hoover Vegas.
Yep. Jesus Christ. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What you think of this trade. I'm Captain Paul. That's Chief. We'll see you in the next one.
Have a good weekend, everybody.